So good evening, everyone. We've had a slight delay with our speakers, thanks to the MTA. Actually, when I got to the train, I saw there was a police investigation in Fulton, so all the northbound trains are delayed. So the northbound A's are delayed, so they're on their train. There's a delay, but hopefully they will be here on time. Okay, so I'll let everyone get their seats and get ready to get started. I have to say, I love this space so much. I'm so excited to be here. It's such a great theater. I came here a couple of years ago, so I hope all of you were here before it enjoyed the town. So does everyone have a copy of the agenda? All right, are we ready? We're rolling, Jeremy, for Zoom? Okay, so hey, everybody out in Zoom land. We're here at the United Palace, and it's gorgeous. We wish you were here too. So, yes, everyone could look over the agenda. Any new business or anything to be added? Would you just please take a moment to review the agenda. All right. Okay, any voices of people upstairs? Would you please come down? So if there's anything to add, any requests for new business? No? Okay.
Yes,
So,
yes, I have
yes.
something that
Ava?
site service, we have to incorporate ourselves together ID number who has a business certificate from downtown that we can work for different companies.
So, do you want to discuss getting a corporation for guides?
Not as an incorporation, it's a business, individual business.
Individual business? Okay, that might be something to bring up either with, I think probably with government relations when it's doing with the,
It looks
the
like
business
business
department.
certificate like this.
Okay,
I
business
have that
certificate.
1980s to 92.
All right,
But now the companies want you to clean
okay.
Mary's company and
So they want you to certify your business? Okay. Yeah.
IRS.
Yeah, so you do your tax ID. Okay, so we can add that and we'll discuss it at the end of the meeting. We'll add that to new business. All right, so I'll just add that. So,
Thank you for the information, but I think that everybody should know.
okay, so yeah, I'll give you a chance to come up and let everyone know. Okay. All right, other than that, anything else to add? Yes, Stan.
I'm still looking for tour guides who would like to drive around the city and comment on things while the camera looks out the front.
Okay, so, all right, so Stan, you can come up afterwards and make your appeal for that, more formal appeal. Okay. All right, so then otherwise, if they were good as it is, so I'd like to ask Bob if you want to come up and introduce our next speaker.
All right, good evening, everyone. Thank you all for coming. And for those of you who are here for the fam trip, we were treated to an amazing tour of this incredible building by Fiddleston. So, before introducing, let me just read you a little bit about what he's done. He's been quite busy for like the last 20 years. Mike Fiddleston has worked to build the arts community of Northern Manhattan since 2003. In 2017 and 18, he produced Dance a High Bridge, resurrecting a beloved dance festival after 10 years. In 2014, Mike co-created the Hip Hop Nutcracker, featuring a dozen dancers, live electric violinist, and hip hop legend Curtis Blow, which now tours the US every holiday season. As executive producer at the United Palace, Mike has overseen hundreds of events on stage and screen. Before coming to the United Palace, Mike was the associate publisher of the Manhattan Times, the bilingual community newspaper of Washington Heights and Inwood. He has also helped launch Uptown Art Stroll in 2003 and the Northern Manhattan Arts Alliance in 2007. Mike is also a photographer and a writer in training. So please welcome him as he's welcomed us. Thank you.
And is this what you just saying? This for Zoom land? This is good?
Yep.
Okay. Well, hi, everyone. Some of you are new, some of you I've known for an hour now. Great to show you all around. Hello. Name is Mike Fiddleston. Thank you, Bob, and it's very great to have you up here. Quite frankly, it's very great to have anybody in the theater these days, right? We've been open to the public for live events basically since August. We did a few things over the summer, like the premiere of In the Heights, the movie In the Heights. But really, for us, it's felt like more or less getting back to normal in August, and we're very excited about that. This building, this theater, opened in 1930 as one of the 5 Lowe's Wonder Theaters. It was then known as the 175th Street Theater, very boring name. Served as a movie theater from the 30s all the way through until 1969, when it was purchased by a religious organization that really saved the building from falling apart and restored it and has maintained it ever since. In 1969, the building was, the spiritual director was Reverend Ike, who I imagine some folks still remember from back in the day. The spiritual organization is now known as the United Palace of Spiritual Arts, and it believes that both the artistic side of our being and the spiritual side of our being are kind of fused, kind of meet in the middle. So when you come to an artistic event, entertainment, you're also tickling the spiritual side, and that's very much how we see the world as kind of imbued with both sides to that point. What we do now, what the United Palace does, in good times and bad, we host a lot of concerts. We host film premieres, we do corporate events. We have our own movie program, which we'll talk about in a second. And we also do a lot of community events, largely for young people. We believe that young people, performers, need to have the same opportunity to take the stage as the illustrious luminaries of the artistic world. So we fundraise and bring in organizations such as Saturday, the Young People's Chorus of New York City, where we'll have 500 kids performing on stage in song and some movement to an audience of their parents and family members, filling the orchestra, about 1,800 people. Excuse me. It's Wntga. She's from our accounting department. I'm going to take that call later. What do you say? What are these people doing here? We didn't get paid. I'm sorry. So we do a lot for the community. The big program that we just launched last night, we just had the grand announcement for it last night, is the return of our movie program. When movies began here in 1930, people were still very much aware of vaudeville and how you needed to have live entertainment to go along with the movie. That's the way it had always been done. They figured that's the way the world was going to continue. Vaudeville lasted about 15 minutes after the theater opened. We all know that. But we tend to maintain a live entertainment aspect to when we do movies. We always try to do some sort of pre-show, talk back with somebody connected with the movie, or maybe we'll do a fashion show, or maybe we'll really get nutty and bring in remote controlled flying sharks and have a beach party on stage before Jaws. That's the sort of thing that we do. So last night we had an announcement that we were going to begin showing movies at the Palace again next year. Movies had stopped in February of 2020. And we put together a little video that I think will show you how we want to do it. And we encourage everybody to help us make this happen. So let's see if I just hit the space bar. Movies at the United Palace in Washington Heights went dark in March 2020 when New York City shut down. After nearly 2 years, we are ready to fire up the projector once again. We've compiled a wish list of 45 films we'd love to screen. We need you to vote for your top 5. With the help of our longtime supporter, Lin-Manuel Miranda and his family, we'll start showing movies again in January, the way they are meant to be seen, in a palace, on a big screen, with surround sound and pre-show entertainment that helps the movie come alive. Vote for your top 5 movies on our list at unitedpalace.org before January 4th, and help us launch Movies at the United Palace Part 2. We would very much appreciate it if you go online and vote for your 5 favorite movies of that list. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors, grab people in the street by their lapels, shake them around, and tell them they gotta go to our website and vote. Because we really want the movies to come back. We want the magic of the movies to retain. That's what this building was originally built for. And after 2 years sitting on our couch watching Netflix, we're afraid we're at that inflection point. If we don't get people to come back to the movie theaters, fall in love, we're going to lose that part of our culture. So unitedpalace.org, please send it out to your email lists, tell your friends, and we would certainly love to have you back January 30th, where Lynn last night pretty much promised he was going to be here in person introducing the first movie, whatever it is. Vote for Men in Black. That's the movie I want to watch. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you so much, Mike. That's really fun. I was here for one of the movies, the On the Waterfront. I saw that, and that was so amazing. There was one of the actors, one of the boy actors was here. It was great. It was just great. And I came in with my husband. We were just like, whoa, look at this space. It was so fantastic to watch it here. So yeah, so everybody vote. It's going to be really fun. And yeah, Men in Black, that would be a good one. Totally. Everywhere. Yeah. Will you bring them into the theater? We'll have some space aliens. Yeah, that would be good. All right. Thank you so much. And thank you for hosting us. This is really an extraordinary space. So thank you. And yeah, everybody vote. It'll be really fun. And then what time of year? We'll go for a chunk of the theater. So I just have a few comments. I actually wrote them down this time instead of I usually sort of go off the top of my head. And I want to thank you all for coming up here. And it's so nice to see everyone in person. And, you know, it's been so hard these past 2 years. It's really been an extraordinary time to be on the GANYC board and to be doing so much stuff virtual and now finally be getting back to the real world. So some news over the past month or so. In November, I went to the IATDG conference down in Atlanta, and GANYC was very well represented there. It was a really informative, interesting conference. Michael Dillinger was there, Cindy Ladopoulos, Patrick Casey came down, spoke on the panel that I helped to moderate along with other GANYC member Jim Carr, who's in DC and is a GANYC member, Christine Lazara, Miriam Moran, and Mitch Bach, and new member Wallace Boyd was also there. So it was nice seeing GANYC members out and about, and it's really great seeing so many guides together, so many tour operators, lots of interviews. It was really very productive. It was a smaller scale that they've done before, but Vaughn and Karen were really happy to see everybody, and they will be announcing for the next one. Will be probably in the next few months or so. There's an interesting panel with tour operators. Michael was there too, and it was a little frustrating because I did ask them. I said, you know, what were they planning on doing for guides? And we just really got a sort of non-answer answer. So for the next IATDG, Vaughn has promised Michael and me that there will be a panel just for tour guides and to be able to speak and really to have our voices heard in a whole different way. So we're looking forward to that. NFTGA will be holding a virtual conference in January in lieu of the live in-person conference in San Antonio. Michael Dillinger will give us some more details about that, but there will be a virtual board meeting and a virtual meeting and to vote for the new NFTGA board. And there will also be a live online event with Rick Steves, who will be speaking specifically to guides about guiding out. He was the speaker for IATDG's virtual conference. Oh, for those who don't know, IATDG is the International Association of Tour Directors and Guides, and NFTGA is the National Federation of Tourist Guides Association. Way too many letters. So anyway, so Rick Steves will be speaking. He was already reserved to be the keynote speaker at the conference, and since it went to virtual, he said he'd still do it. There is a very small fee. It's $15, and it's definitely worth it. It'll help to pay for his speaking fee and also help to run this virtual meeting. And so it's going to be really really very, very good. And so you ask you all, sorry, Jerry. We'll ask you all to please register for it. There will be another announcement sent out about it. It was posted onto the GANYC members Facebook group, and it will be on the NFTGA's page too. So you can register for that. And we do ask you to register ahead of time. That will be on January 27th at 11 Central Time, which is 10 Eastern Time. Okay, so just make a note of that. It's going to be, it should be very interesting. He's an incredibly dynamic speaker. He's really, really a lot of fun, and it should be a really great time, great opportunity. Also to ask him some questions as well. He's one of the great advocates for tour guides and for professional tour guides all around the world. He especially focuses on Europe, but his guides are really very well trained, very well known, and so he knows how to work with guides and what guides need. Now, Michael again will keep picking you up, Michael. Sorry. We're going to give us an update on the Wntga, the World Federation. They unfortunately ended up canceling their live conference, which was to be in Serbia, in Novi Sad, in Serbia in February. They canceled that due, of course, to what's happening worldwide with COVID. Okay. Another thing that we'll be getting an update during the meeting from Patrick Casey about government relations, but I did want to.
We have a correction in the chat. Somebody says 11 Central Time is noon.
Oh,
Eastern
noon,
time.
sorry. Yes, I'm going backwards, wrong way. Sorry, noon. Thank you. Oh my gosh, yeah. All right, so noon. Thank you. That's good because all of us will show up. Oh, actually, it's better to be early. All right. So it'll be a lunch time, an early lunch presentation rather than a late breakfast. All right. So thank you for Zoom correction. Who is that?
It was Mel Wasserman.
Thanks, Mel. Thank you very much, Mel. All right. Yeah. Okay. So I was mentioning Patrick Casey and government relations, and he'll give you more details about this. But I would like to embarrass Patrick and thank him profusely. And I think government relations deserves a round of applause because we may be getting. Patrick's doing a lot of work on 289A. So he'll give us more details of it, but thank you, Patrick. Done a great job. See, I'm getting a dirty look. I'm falling to ashes. That's his fault. Okay, so thank you. Thank you very much. And finally, I'd like to remind everyone to please renew your membership. And that goes to everybody on Zoom too. I see the membership renewals are coming in. I think there's still, every day pretty much people are renewing. It's $125, and all of the money for your membership dues goes right back into GANYC. Every penny, all right? It goes to helping cover expenses for whether it's WeWork, whether it's the wild apricot that we use. All the different kinds of things that we do are thanks to your membership dues. So we really need that. We count on that for GANYC to be able to do all these great things. And I have to say, the board is really incredibly gratified that our membership has stayed so strong over these past 2 years. And we've even gotten new members. I mean, pretty much every month, I think we've gotten at least 1 or 2, sometimes even 3 or 4 new members, which is all just, it's a sign that GANYC is doing the right thing. And we're doing the right thing thanks to your membership. I sound like I'm doing a pledge on QXR, right? But thanks to your membership, all right, thanks to, all of your hard work, all of the volunteers. All right, so please, again, renew your membership. And speaking of volunteers, you volunteer for a committee. All right, we are going to be having in January, we're still ironing out the kinks, but our January meeting will be a meeting of the committees, a sort of, college fair, committee con, all mixed up together, to get to know the different committees, to get to know the different committee chairs, the different work we do, how you can contribute, how you can get involved. Really, we're as strong as all of you and all of the time and the effort that you give to the organization. So please renew your membership. You can also get your insurance coverage. That is $99 for the calendar year. Okay, so that you can do, but there's those separate payments, right, Jeremy?
Yeah, if you're sending in a check, the check for the insurance, $99, and the check for the dues, $125, should be two separate checks. There's also two separate ways to pay online.
You should repeat that so people.
Yeah, so, yes, so sorry, so if you're writing a check for the GANYC dues, that's one check. If you're writing a check for insurance, that's another one. Okay, so two separate, you can send them separately, don't send them together because they go to two different accounts. Okay, so thank you for that. So tonight, this may be my last meeting as GANYC president. It's really been an honor to be on the board and to be serving all of you. And we'll be also having a new board elected tonight, which means we'll be saying goodbye to two amazing board members. So I'd like to ask Bob Gelber and Deborah Blatt to come up, please. So very quiet, but they do so much. You have no idea. It's like Deborah was just, oh, I'll take care of that. The beautiful designs, the beautiful layouts, you know, so much for the health and safety. The different pamphlets that we did, the PDFs that we did, that was thanks to Deborah. And Bob was so instrumental in organizing the 9/11 commemoration. So many great industry partner work to get this wonderful space, including tonight. So thank you, Bob, and thank you. Thank you for all you've done to my qualify. A big round of applause for my Thank you all so much. I wish you all very happy holidays. Hanukkah is over. Christmas holidays coming in. Kwanzaa's coming up. So have a joyous end of December. Okay, happy and healthy. Everybody, please stay healthy. Get your booster if you haven't got already. You know the deal. And I think our speakers are here right now. So we're all set. So we're going to take a moment to give them a breather to make sure everything is set up. Everything's all ready, and then I'll call Eileen up to introduce them. So thanks everybody. If anyone needs to go to the blue or just stretch your
Industry partner vote first.
What was it? Oh yes, industry partners. Yes, Mike, do you want to come up and introduce that? Thank you, Jeremy, for reminding.
All right. Good evening, everybody. Nice to see everybody. That's the atmosphere, as I said. So we do have an industry partner vote tonight, but I just want to take a second to kind of explain the industry partner process, because some people are still not clear on it. And this kind of came up on Facebook this month with this particular applicant. So when we get a industry partner applicant for GANYC, immediately we post that on the announcements page of GANYC.org, which then blasts out an email announcement to every member who has opted into those announcements. So it's very important, not just for industry partners, but for everything else, that you opt into getting email notifications from the announcements page of GANYC.org. And at that point, it is up to you as individual GANYC members to do your research on whether this is a company or companies, when we have more than one, that is worthy of becoming a GANYC industry partner. We as the board, we as the industry relations committee, we don't take a position on any of these applicants. It is really up to you, the full voting members of GANYC, to make that decision. And the reason that I bring this up is there was a fairly robust, I guess, as these things go, debate about our current applicant, which is Reposit. And I just want to read their qualifications to you really quickly. And then we can certainly open it up to discussion on the floor as well. What we have started doing in terms of our vote, we used to take an in-person vote with paper ballots, but now we are using Wild Apricot, our membership management software. So if he has not done so already, in a moment, Jeremy is going to send out the vote, the poll for the industry partner tonight, and it will all come through via email to each one of the voting members, and the poll will stay open until tomorrow morning. So you have a chance to vote tonight at home if you don't have a chance to vote at the meeting today. So just wanted to kind of clarify that, because I know we probably, I know I'm guilty of this, and I think other segments of GANYC are guilty of this as well, assuming everybody knows what everything's happening. And as Emma mentioned, we've been really lucky to get new members throughout the pandemic and even before that. So every once in a while, we need a reminder to say, oh, wait, not everybody knows everything that we're talking about. So that's kind of where that comes from. So in terms of requisites, I will just read you what they said. They are a marketplace connecting travel professionals to vetted suppliers with productivity tools built in to save you time and grow your business. And this was a reference from our member, they came to us via our member, Cindy Ladopoulos, who was always out there advocating for GANYC. So Cindy, wherever you are, thank you so much. As I said, Jeremy will be sending out the poll momentarily, but it has been sent out, so you should get that in your emails shortly. But before we wrap it up, certainly there is time for discussion about requisite, positive, negative, otherwise, if anybody would like to make a statement. No? Okay. Jonathan, since you were involved in the Facebook discussion, kind of follow up.
Yeah, I mean, I think there was an interesting observation that Reposit is a little bit of a high pressure. Someone got a bad sense from them because they are kind of a high pressure sales mentality organization, and that's true. They are. I've worked with them. I know the people who were there. They used to do some other work in the tour sector, and they pivoted during COVID to try to create this platform. It's an interesting model. It may work, it may not work. They're young, they're learning a lot about the tourism industry as they go along. And I think personally, I think it would be useful if they had an association with GANYC and we could help teach them the way the tourism operations work here in New York City, rather than them trying to figure it out themselves and encountering professional tour guides like us who say that's not how it works. They've already got things moving. So I think that's a positive benefit. I don't think they're the best people in the world. They're maybe not the smartest. They don't know the most about New York City or tourism, but they're willing to learn. And I think we'd be great people to help teach them. So, I mean, bless their hearts. I'm like, they're not paying me to advocate for them. And I don't, you know, like I said, I don't think they're the best. You know, if you don't vote for them, I'm not going to be sad, but like, I think that it's worthwhile for us to have a relationship with them. I think that by allowing someone to pay us to be an industry partner, there's very little downside for us, is my take.
I hope they're not paying you for that.
Right, like that would be the worst. That would be the worst. Right. Yeah, very worst.
That's
I just want to say, I think that what Jonathan has just done is give a perfect description of what a partnership is. And it's worth considering that when we consider our votes. And, you know, what he's just described is what partners should be for each other. We fit in each other's gaps, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, I think that if industry partner was only the people that we thought did the absolute best job in New York City, we'd have like one industry partner, right? Like, because there can only be one best, right? So we have to have a whole range of industry partners, from the absolute best to all the people who are doing a good job to people who need our help. I would like you. Maybe that's not how industry relations sees it, but anyway,
more about having memberships.
yeah.
So that's great. Okay, great. All right, thank you so much, Jonathan. Thank you, Matt Baker, as well. Before I turn it back over to Emma, any other comments about our current industry partner candidate tonight? Okay, thank you guys very much. And here's Emma.
Thank you, Mike. So, and one thing about, like I said, about the announcements, it goes out to the announcements. Everyone, when they become a member, is automatically subscribed to the announcements. And actually, Mark and I made it so that you have to unsubscribe to that. All right, that's not one of the opt-ins, because we want to make sure everybody got that. Everything else is opt-in, and we were kind of obnoxious about that. We're like, you know what? Everyone gets these. So if you've turned off the announcements and you're not getting any announcements, You have to turn them back on, but otherwise everyone should be getting them just by default. Okay, all right. So, yeah, so do you want to get are you guys all set for your PowerPoint? Yeah, all right, so we're gonna get the PowerPoint. Yeah, hold on a second, all right.
Hi, for those that don't know me, I'm Eileen Ward on the Education Committee. What we're gonna do is just take like maybe a 5-minute stretch break, or if we need to quickly run to the beautiful bathrooms upstairs while we set up tech. And I also want to mention, since we are focused on Times Square as our keynote speaker at the Times Square Alliance, at the desk, if you didn't notice it, we do have the real Times Square confetti that will be used for the live Times Square, and you can make your wish and we will get it delivered down to Times Square for you. Or you can do it online, but I think it's fun doing it on confetti. So like in about 5 minutes, we'll please be back and we'll get started.
Perfect, so that will make it 6:45, all right? So 6:46, 6:45. Good, thank you.
Oh, it's something to say. Yeah, that's what so that was your meeting. You all right? Be careful of the skips. But I have a sheet. Did I hit you? I'm sorry.
Are you driving or taking the train? Yeah,
That's the problem.
so we're not going to be at the right off the 79th Street stop on the D train.
Oh, all right. Yeah, I was thinking of getting.
Yeah, because I had somebody else who emailed me said they were going to drive you if you can, but just be aware that we're not moving back.
Right.
Just because they're gonna have to leave.
So let's say don't. So a lot of
All right, everybody. You all hear me? Okay, guys. That was not me. All right, so let's get started again. All right, everyone, please take your seats. It's starting to get, is this the good spot, Jared? We're showing this over Zoom. Yeah, we're gonna be showing you the presentation. All right, and
Thank you so much, Emma. Welcome back, everyone, again. My name again is Eileen Work, and I'm with the Education Committee that organizes the speakers, and we will be reaching out to you very shortly for 2022 for more help with that in the January meeting. Today we have a focus on Times Square with Regina Fojas from the Times Square Alliance, and I'll be introducing her more specifically shortly. What I wanted to mention just sort of as an entree to our evening, here we are Uptown Broadway Theater, and you're wondering like, well, what does it have to do with Times Square? To be honest with you, it was because Bob used his talent to get the space, and it just worked out that the Times Square Alliance staff was able to come up, and thank you for coming up, especially the subway hassle. But I think it's worth a trip. Look how exquisite the space is. There is a connection though to downtown Times Square theaters. This theater was designed, the architect was Thomas Lamb, who also designed the Port Theater. So there is a connection with downtown. But moving on to Times Square, the crossroads of the world. Every tour that we get, even if it's not in Times Square, our customers always ask us about Times Square. It is one of the most iconic places in the world. And we know it's been a difficult year for business and tour guiding, and we're looking forward to 2022 getting increasingly better. Just today, City Guide announced that New York City is now the #1 most popular destination for the second half of December. So happy touring. That's good for everybody. Times Square is also benefiting with the reopening of Broadway, and the clock is now ticking closer to New Year's Eve. Today it is 23 days to New Year's Eve, and if you look on the Times Square Alliance website, it will actually give you the exact hour, minutes, and seconds as well. So I'll skip that part. You can look it up later. So it's timely that we focus on Times Square tonight. The Times Square Alliance covers the area from West 40th to 53rd Street between 6th and 8th Avenues, and also Restaurant Row. Since 1992, the Times Square Alliance has worked to improve and promote Times Square, cultivating the creativity, energy, and edge that has made the area an icon for over a century. Regina will give an overview of the Times Square Alliance organization and how Times Square has changed and the impact on New York City tourism. Before Regina begins, I just want to give a shout out to TJ Witham. Please stand up for everybody. Thank you. TJ is the Vice President of Communications of the Times Square Alliance and was instrumental in making this happen. Thank you so much. And now let me introduce Regina. Regina is the Senior VP and Chief of Staff for the Times Square Alliance. I'm going to give a little bit of her bio for the benefit of people on live stream since they don't have the agenda that does have the bio. Currently, she is responsible for outreach and engagement strategy for approximately 7,500 stakeholders, which includes property owners, commercial tenants, and even residential tenants. perhaps a lesser known thing about Times Square. She also manages and executes the Alliance's public policy, government affairs, advocacy, and communications with the Alliance Board of Directors. Regina holds a Bachelor of Arts in Urban Studies from CUNY and is a graduate of the Curro Neighborhood Leadership Program. She is a native New Yorker and has a passion for exploring new neighborhoods through food. So Regina, we have GANYC tour guides that can give you a tour. So with that, please welcome Regina Fojas, and let's give her a nice Times Square countdown welcome. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Regina.
Feel really special. Thank you for the introduction, and thank you, GANYC, for hosting us. I think that we are a business improvement district, and Times Square is pivotal to New York City tourism, which you'll see in a couple of moments. And I actually could skip over some of these beginning slides since I think you wonderfully described our organization. This is an image of our boundaries in Times Square or the Midtown area. For those of you who aren't familiar with what a business improvement district does, we're a nonprofit. We provide supplemental sanitation and public safety services for our designated district. There's about 76 bids in New York City. And the ones right north of us are Lincoln Square, and the ones south of us and slightly east are the Garment District Alliance and Bryant Park, and the 34th Street Partnership. The Alliance was formed 25 years ago by a group of key stakeholders who really wanted to lift its image from a place of crime and being a dirty place and nobody wanted to be there. We still do that, but it's also in addition to the public art that we host on our pedestrianized plazas, which aren't always pedestrianized. We also do marketing and events, general support of our businesses, whether they be the small mom and pop who's been there for years or the retailer. We work on capital improvement projects in addition to overall advocacy for our stakeholders. And that means meeting with our elected officials. We also do a lot of research to show the impact of Times Square. We count the number of people who come through Times Square, which pre-COVID was about 365,000, 375,000 people a day. Don't worry, I wasn't counting. We actually have little cameras. And then the next two slides are going to show you just a visual of the work we do every day. We are open 365 days a year. And those are our sanitation staff, keeping the iconic red steps on Jeffrey Square free from snow. You know, and I think this was either March or April of last year during the height of the pandemic when Broadway was dark. We were all longing for the return of theater, and we did a pop-up performance out on the red steps, which I think was really meaningful to a lot of people who were missing theater and missing Times Square. Bijou over here, John Bijou is one of our public safety sergeants. Our public safety team are uniformed ambassadors in Times Square area. They help lost tourists, lost New Yorkers. They liaise with the NYPD for emergencies, and there are eyes and ears on the ground. And then the last picture here shows one of our iconic screens within the bow tie, which is the intersection of Broadway and 7th Avenue. And this is one of my favorite screens. It's kind of new. It has a curved feature, and a lot of brands that buy screen time on there have been putting these 3D elements in their assets. And this one in particular is actually a public art project that we worked on. You know, we had to pivot some of our work during the pandemic, and we wanted to put up these beautiful graphic design pieces by artists in New York City, but we also felt like the message needed to be pivoted during COVID. And so what we did was we asked local artists to design messages of gratitude to our everyday heroes, whether they be the grocer, the butcher, your bus driver, in addition to our essential workers and our doctors and our firefighters. And that was part of a series that ran on several screens within Times Square. Earlier, I spoke about our marketing and events arm. We, as an organization, have 4 marquee events, a little party called New Year's Eve that's coming up in 23 days. And this year, we're welcoming back revelers into the Pens. After New Year's Eve, we do something called Love in Times Square on February 14th, where we commission a cart sculpture, a new art sculpture every year, so it becomes a photo opportunity for people who visit. Last year, it was a lot of the what do you call it? When storefronts had boarded up their windows, we had an artist repurpose them and make them into the shape of a heart. And in addition to the sculpture, we do surprise proposals. We do 2 marriages on Duffy, in addition to a renewal of vows, which last year, I think part of this year we did virtual. So we've been able to pivot since COVID, and it's taught us a lot about being flexible in different events we do. We welcome summer with Taste of Times Square, which pre-COVID was basically a blocks-long festival celebrating all the different restaurants we have in Times Square, and there is a variety of different cuisines you can have in Times Square. And then we welcome summer on the summer solstice with free yoga out on our pedestrian plazas, which is how we first befriended again. Okay, so now to Times Square's economic importance. I know this picture is a little small, but that's kind of the point. Times Square is only 0.1% of New York City's land mass, but it contributes to 15% of New York City's economic output, also equivalent to about 4.9 billion in tax revenue. And that is due to tourism, the theater industry, and real estate. We hold 7% of the city's jobs. 60% of the employees who work in Times Square live in the outer boroughs, and a lot of office space, 41 theaters, which is equivalent to 55,000 live entertainment seats. New Yorkers, they love to hate Times Square, but the neighborhood contributes exponentially to New York City's recovery. So when COVID hit, it really hurt Times Square and our businesses. When the Broadway industry was dark for 18 months, it hurt all of our storefronts. At the height of the pandemic, 87% of them were closed. So, a lot of our restaurants depend on pre and post theater traffic. When you happen to be in Times Square for a show, you may also want to buy something out in one of those stores. And it really hurt many of our businesses. So what we did during that time was try to navigate the small business support programs and the ever-changing landscape of COVID regulations for our businesses. So we ended up doing weekly newsletter updates to all of our stakeholders to try and navigate the overwhelming number of changes and the information that was thrown at them. However, we're going in the right direction right now. As of last month, 77% of our storefronts are back open. We've had at least 20 to 30 new businesses open up. And a lot of them are businesses that we didn't expect to see in Times Square. And I think it could be a result of, prices going down a little bit in terms of lease terms. And so it's opened up opportunities for certain businesses we wouldn't have seen. We've also seen our pedestrian count slowly grow back up. When there was no one in Times Square, and you saw empty Times Square across many newspaper front pages and websites, that was about 30,000 people, and they were probably essential workers, including ours, because our sanitation public safety team never stopped working during the pandemic. Now we're up to about 270,000 per day. So we're not exactly where we were pre-pandemic, but we're headed towards the right direction. And you can see the graphic that I have there just shows you the hotel occupancy before the pandemic, during the pandemic, and a little bit of this year in addition to spending, right? So it really clearly shows that we rely heavily on visitors coming to Times Square to keep our businesses alive. And I hope that, you know, you can take some of these nuggets for when you do your own tours. So what are we doing to make up for the lost time? We are working with different agencies, whether they're city agencies or anyone who would be willing to collaborate with us to put Times Square out there and invite people and say, hey, we've been open, come back. This is something that we have put in the recent City Guide magazines, both as print and digital. And the idea is, you know, you haven't been able to spend time with your friends and family. Why not take a trip into the city and walk through Times Square? We've also worked with the MTA to do some digital ads on their Long Island Railroad and Metro North screens, inviting for the Bridge and Tunnel crowd to come back to Times Square. And let's see, there was one. Oh, and then we're working with NYC and Company. You may already be familiar with their It's Time for New York City campaign, and Times Square is one of the featured neighborhoods, and they actually created a little digital short for us, and it's gonna play. It's a little tiny, but I have a better video later for you to show you. So this is just a little taste. That's something that should be playing on, I think, mostly probably outside of New York, hopefully on the little screens in the back of people's seats on airplanes.
Every airplane, that's the best.
And thank you. I have one more treat for you. It's a compilation of what we've done over the past 6 months. It's something that TJ's team helped create. And one of the things I realized I haven't focused on is the amount of public art that we do. So during Valentine's Day, we commissioned that beautiful heart sculpture that changes every year. We recently had a beautiful fountain in Times Square called the Fountain for Survivors by Panel Council, and we'll see that in the next video that I'll show you, and it's covered in 350,000 acrylic nails. And we actually just broke it down. It's been out for a couple of months now, but it was camp, it was beautiful, it was hot pink, and it brought a lot of people to Times Square. And we also do every month a different midnight moment, which means at 11:57, if you're ever in Times Square, you'll see on a majority of the screens one video that plays on the screens, and it's a different artist's work every month. And the only day of the year that we don't do it is on New Year's Eve. So I'm going to end my presentation with this look back at what we've done, and then I'll answer any questions you have. So thank you.
The razzle dazzle we know of Times Square, it certainly is back.
Almost 110 million people have seen this show worldwide, and millions more will have a chance to see it once again when it reopens tonight.
Now that it's reopened, feels great.
You heard it, but Broadway is back.
It's beginning to look like the place we all know and love, the crossroads of the world.
A banner proclaiming "Welcome Back World" was unveiled today at the Crossroads of the World.
Fireworks are back, so is Taste Times Square.
Oh, this is so good.
Times Square's back, New York City's back. We have 210,000 people that walk through Times Square, and this is an opportunity to see Times Square from the vantage point you've never seen before.
Center of the universe, crossroads of the world. We are here. You are here at Times Square for Broadway Buskers.
It's a taste of Times Square weekend, guys. Sink your teeth into this.
Coming back is just joyous.
I just love Broadway. I love theater. I'm just so happy it's back.
dozens of daffodil bulbs planted in the heart of Manhattan to honor the victims of 9/11, COVID-19 victims as well.
The Times Square Alliance will help plant a total of 2,000 bulbs in that area.
What can the town square Alliance do to support the tour guide?
What can the Times Square Alliance do to help freelance tour guides? I mean, what ideas do you have? Throw it back at you. What can we do? What do you look for?
The very first tour I ever took of Times Square was given by a freelance tour guide who had been hired by the Alliance to give regular tours of Times Square. She was a GANYC member. Her name was Judy Richheimer. She was the first GANYC member that we lost to COVID. But she had worked for the Alliance for quite some time. She gave a real good tour.
That's great. That's really great. I'm gonna assume that's when we had our visitor center open.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, which is I personally miss. So listen, we're open to ideas. We can see what works.
How do we follow up?
Well, I think it has to come out. And I think that if we can corral our questions and our suggestions, let's talk about it. All right.
So Michael,
I am so upset that we do not have anywhere in the city a visitors center. It's shocking to me, even before COVID. You know, you go to a city like Prague, which gets 6 million visitors, and they have 6 visitor centers. We were getting 60 million visitors and no visitor centers. And I think this is a real shame. I think this is a real blind spot on the part of this city when it comes to the value of the visitors experience. All everybody's looking for is the money. Even our friends at NYC and Company, they're more interested in how many hotel beds are filled, as opposed to what is the quality of the experience that the visitors are getting. And this is something we could use your help with and everybody else. And I think we should be working together on this.
I think Governor Hochul had promised an investment of a couple million towards tourism, and one of my goals is to figure out where that money is going. And if that means we can. There you go, 250, we'll have 450, right? I was gonna say 450, but I didn't want to keep quoted. Okay, so I think that's a really great idea. Personally, I'd love to build a visitor center. I think we just have to work with the city and state agencies and find where the money is and see if we can use our influence to do that. I saw 2 hands over here. Yes.
I'm gonna flip that question for my question.
Okay.
Apart from, visitor tours were already given, apart from doing the things we're doing as tour guides because we love New York anyway, how can we help you? Are there initiatives? Are there projects that you got coming up on the docket? Is there anything that we can do for you now in the future, in the far future? If you think that the GANYC or individual tour guides can really help you?
I think that's a really great question. Thank you. And I think having the open channel of communication is already one step towards the right direction, because that tells me that TJ and I can work with that and say, in your next update to all of your members, please let them know we're unveiling this huge project, right? So I'm thinking ahead to Valentine's Day. I don't know exactly what we're doing just yet, but I definitely know we're commissioning a new sculpture. If that makes sense for some of your itineraries, why not? We'll share that with you ahead of time. Same thing for Taste of Times Square, for Solstice. I think that as long as we're in lockstep and keeping open channels of communication, it can work both ways. There was somebody else.
Yeah, Andy?
Yeah, I'm curious on a comment you made. You mentioned new businesses opening up in Times Square that you didn't expect to see.
Yeah.
Give us a few examples.
So I would say, one that comes to mind because we're actually going to the restaurant tomorrow is Jasmine's Caribbean. Jasmine is a female Black entrepreneur who was encouraged by her friends to open up a restaurant, even though she did not have any experience in restaurants. She owns like 3 hair salons, one in the city and 2 outside of the United States. And she took a chance. She opened November 2020, and we just celebrated her 1st year anniversary, and her restaurant is on Restaurant Road, which I'm sure many of you already know is 46th Street between 8th and 9th Avenue, and is an historic block of mom and pop restaurants that, you know, we are very happy. Many of the restaurants are back open, and that's just one example of a business that we expect to open and thrive, and we're so happy. Any chance that a local TV network or radio show asks us, hey, is there a restaurant or is there a business that we can interview? We're always thinking immediately of who just opened or who just reopened, so we can give them a little bit of love.
Stan?
We'd all like to have restrooms that groups can go in.
Oh, the hot question. Yep, thanks. You're gonna be disappointed by my answer. It's a no question, and I will bring it up to our team. Okay.
Mike?
Does the Alliance support the Broadway circuit as well as, the major houses on Broadway?
So the way that
That's where the impetus is coming from in this first quarter, as I've read, more production in the off-Broadway circuit rather than on Broadway.
Yeah, and
do you support some of those?
so the way that our support works, it's the theaters that are within our geographic boundaries. So if I think about what theaters are not named Broadway, we have theaters as small as Theater of the Oppressed, which puts on small productions. We have a couple of comedy clubs like Caroline's. We have, I'm sorry? New World Stages. Actually, no, they're slightly out of the show.
If you really think about that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But it's not that we don't want to support them. It's just, it's based on where we are geographically.
I just, do I need to use my, I guess, for the I just wanted to comment. I'm glad there's a lot of interest in the Times Square Alliance and how we can work together, and it, needs to be developed, but GANYC, particularly through industry relations with Harvey and Michael, we've had some informal conversations about how we might be able to work together, so stay tuned. Hopefully this is just the beginning. I wanted to do a time check, and then also, Jeremy, are there any questions from any of our online participants? No.
Yeah.
How are we on?
Yeah, we are.
Okay, great.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for coming. I think that was incredibly informative, and it's great to see. I mean, we really need to develop these kinds of relationships. And so thank you, Eileen. Thank you, Bob, Industry Relations. Thank you so much, Regina and TJ, for coming, for schlepping uptown and coming up here. But I hope, the setting could not be nicer. So thank you all. This is really great. And yeah, we will definitely be in touch. And so I think you will be receiving emails from GANYC members. And yeah, everybody, if you're going to email, please make sure you say you're from GANYC, and that, because otherwise it might be, who are these people? But thank you again. Yes, after January, yeah, we'll wait, maybe, even the 3rd, give you guys a break. So thank you so much. Thank you again for coming out. And yeah, you're welcome to stay if you'd like for more of the meeting, and do take a moment to go upstairs and look at the beautiful space. It's just wonderful. Okay, so let's continue, and we'll be having our committee reports. Our first committee will be awards. So Matt Baker, if you want to come on up, that would be great. I can get an update from you, so thank you.
Thank you. Real quick, I just want to add my thanks to Bob and to everyone who put this together, because this is such a magnificent space. The last time I was here was exactly 6 years ago, when I handed over the presidential gavel to Michael Dillinger. And so it's particularly poetic to be back here, sitting next to the man who was president of this association when I joined, Artie Griffin. I haven't seen in a while. Very happy to see my fellow. Well, we were the last of the presidents who said, "Oh, no, I'm not running for a second term." So nobody makes that decision anymore. Anyway, awards committee, what you actually wanted me to talk about. Many thanks to the committee for our last meeting. We usually meet for about an hour to an hour and a half. Our last meeting took us 3 hours to vet, debate, and vote on the final ballot for the final 4 nominees in each category of the 2022 GANYC Apple Awards. And they are: for outstanding achievement in support of New York City culture, the China Institute, Sing for Your Seniors, the Actors Fund, and the WOW Project. For preservation, the MTA for the redesign of the Times Square shuttle, the St. George Theater Restoration, the chair of the LPC, Sarah Carroll, specifically for her achievements in recognizing the importance of the Duffield Street abolitionist history, and Greenwood Cemetery for the reinterment of the remains at Washington Square Park. For outstanding achievement in support of New York City tourism, the Mott Street Girls, Patrick Mott of 46 Bakery for the Chinatown Lanterns, Eli Marcus, the editor of City Guide, which has already been mentioned tonight, and the Broadway Up Close Tours, based in Times Square. For outstanding New York City website, NYC on the Cheap, NYC Songlines, NYC Subway, and Urban Archive. For outstanding achievement in New York City photography, this is obviously a lot cooler when I have images behind me, but all of the information here is linked on the website, and Jeremy always does a wonderful job of making sure the images of the photographs themselves are available on the website. But they are Michael Avedon for the New Yorker, Gretchen Robinette on Gothamist, Maureen Steinhardt on Instagram, and Clay Williams for the New York Times. Some of you will remember Clay having presented in the food category because he did a lot of food-oriented photography a couple years ago. Outstanding achievement in radio, podcast, audio, spoken word, Paul Cavalcante from WQXR, Housing Notebook on WBAI, Dean Carianis, the History Author Show, and Soundcheck WNYC. For outstanding achievement in book writing, fiction, there's The Great Mistake by Jonathan Lee, Harlem Shuffle by Colson Whitehead, The Personal Librarian by Marie Benedict and Victoria Christopher Murray, and The Showgirl by Nicola Harris. For outstanding achievement in book writing nonfiction, The Cathedral Parkway Towers of Harlem's Gate by Sheila Evans. And Sheila, some of you know that name, yes, she is a GANYC member. She's the one GANYC member who was nominated for a competitive award this year. New York, by Thomas Dia. The Notable New Yorkers of the Upper West Side by Jim Mackin. And Vanderbilt, The Rise and Fall of an American Dynasty by Emerson Cooper and Catherine Howe. For outstanding achievement in essay, article, series writing, or as I just like to call it, Journalism Award. Jen Carlson for New Yorkers on Why They Love New York City Now More Than Ever for Gothamist. David Cruz for From Fiery Waterland to City Suburbia, The Transformation of Charlotte Street in the South Bronx for Gothamist. Sarah Larson for Eavesdropping Through a Pandemic for The New Yorker. And Ben Yakas for The Secret History of the Great Subway Map Debate of 1978 Revealed for Gothamist. For outstanding achievement in New York City food, everyone's favorite category, Tony Benanti of Rudy's Pastry Shop for her baked goods donations to essential healthcare workers. God's Love We Deliver for leasing the Northern Dispensary. Harlem Biscuit Company for being the culinary comeback story in time of COVID. And Jack Summers, the first legal Black distiller in America, for his mission to educate and highlight the inequities of the beverage business.
And last but not least, I'm sorry we've lost Robin for the evening, museum exhibitions. The American Weather Vanes exhibit, The Art of the Winds at the American Folk Art Museum. Kasuma, Cosmic Nature at the New York Botanical Garden, former winner. New York New Music, 1980 to 1986, Museum of the City of New York, former winner. And The Treasures at the New York Public Library. Now, once again, all of these nominees are listed on the website with links. So if I just announce some names that make you say, what's that? Who's that? You have plenty of time to go onto the website on the awards page and check that out. I will also be asking Jeremy to send out a link directly to that page because you are so good about technical stuff on the awards committee. You have no idea how I could not do it without you. So don't even think about leaving. So I'm going to ask him to go ahead and send those direct links, as well as the first time we will be sending out a link to the final ballot page, which I created yesterday. Now, bear in mind that unlike the pre-nominations page from which these nominees were gleaned, the final ballot page is not a case of vote early, vote often. You get to vote on that page once. And we have it arranged that you can only do it once. It's on Google Docs. You have to sign into Google to do it, and Google records it. So if you try to go back in, it will say, you have already contributed to this poll, and you don't get to do it twice. So do make sure that you do your homework on the page on the GANYC website first. Now, for all those of you who are hearing that saying, oh man, that's going to be complicated, we're going to make it easy. Don't worry, we will be sending you lots of emails on the subject. We're going to be adding buttons that you can push. We want to make, you know, we're like Arnold Schwarzenegger. We want to make voting easy. That is the only way in which we are like Arnold Schwarzenegger. So we are going to be working on that, and we are going to be sending a lot of info on that out within the next 48 hours. I'm probably over time, I'm sorry.
That's all right. All right, thanks. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Any very quick questions for Matt, because otherwise we don't want to go over time. Right.
What will the deadline be for voting?
Deadline for voting.
I don't have it on me, but it's going to be in January because the deadline for voting is a little over a month before the awards themselves.
Mid-January deadline for voting.
There'll be 5 weeks worth of voting time.
Plenty of time, early but once.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, all right, thank you very much, Matt. Thank you very much for your enthusiastic presentation. So, Bob, for education.
I'll be calm. Okay, so educational reports submitted on behalf of our chair, Nina Mendez, and also on behalf of our membership of the committee, Eileen Roth, Jeremy Wilcox, John Semblick, Kevin Lawrence, Lisa Puccio, Minishoff, and Susan Burnbaum, and myself. Nina just wants to thank our president, Mntga Gonzalez, and the executive board 2020 to 2021. It's been a pleasure serving under your dedicated leadership, and good luck to all the wonderful board candidates running for 2022 and 2023. Okay, so upcoming fans, Diker, Light, Spam, Jeremy Wilcox. So popular, December 9th. He's doing another one on December 14th. They are both sold out. I am doing a tour at 3 World Trade Center marketing visit December 17th. And we already have about 25 people for that, which is great. Also want to thank past FAMs that have happened. Ann McDermott, who led on November 11th a fantastic Media Moguls of Midtown, and John Semblick on November 19th, a few appropriate remarks, a walk in Cypress Hills Cemetery. And Mark Levy, November 30th, did his Paradise Square, 5 Points, and the Gangs of New York. Remember that we need your ideas, fans, professional development programs, and the Education Committee meets every month, third Tuesday at 6 p.m. via Zoom. So another last thank you to Eileen Roth. who I don't see right now, who helped get the Times Square Alliance to come tonight. She really has been working with them for months. So thank you all.
Any questions for Bob and for the education committee? Yeah. Sorry.
For new members, can we just get a quick refresher if we have a sample we would like to propose? Yes. How do we go about doing that?
Okay, so Bob, come on up. So for new members, yeah, so Jeremy.
So there is a fan tour proposal form. If you go to the GANYC website under the announcements section on the website, it's one of the announcements that's pinned up near the top. It'll say fan tour proposal, and then you'll click, it'll have the instructions on how to fill it out. That proposal will automatically go to the committee. We will usually debate it within a week and let you know. So yeah, there's a proposal form. So in announcements, the announcements also has a completely separate post about the policies for attending fan tours.
Mark.
Yeah, I just want to say that if you're considering doing a fan tour, don't think you need to know everything. These are very interactive events where you'll get as much information back from other guides as you can giving out. So if you're saying, well, I don't know if I want to do this thing, go ahead and do it. You'll learn a lot, and you'll give enough interaction with other guides.
I would add to that. That's correct. In the past, when I've been workshopping a new tour, I've usually done it as a fan early on to get the feedback before I actually start charging people money for it.
Have you ever met a tour guide who thought they didn't know everything?
No.
All right, so thank you. And actually, Eileen is here, so the post for Eileen for bringing in the Times Square Alliance. Thank you for your hard work. All right, so our next committee is government relations. So Patrick.
Yes. I know, I'm also a parliamentarian. Hi, so let me get my spiel up here. Okay. In my mind, remember what they told you and many of you, I know what's on the stage. What's the first things you have to know? The hotspot, and don't bump into the furniture. So we've got my hotspot. Okay. Okay. The ongoing saga of 289A. So I'm told actually there are some of you who are not fully aware of what's going on. This has been a battle that GANYC on some level has been involved in for over 10 years to secure the guides places on double-decker buses. That struggle, that journey, since 2018, is now manifested with the passage of a very specific bill, 289A, sponsored by Councilmember Adonis Rodriguez. It has sat in the Department of Consumer Affairs and Worker Protection Committee of New York City Council since 2018. It has not budged. Maybe we've got some movement happening now. Let me give you a recap. It's been a remarkable month. I'd like to say that the bill has been passed. That hasn't happened yet. But what I can say is that a tremendous amount of activity and lobbying by GANYC, Government Relations Committee, and you, the members who read those emails from me, those postings on social media, those announcements through our announcements on the webpage, right, your council members, it did. It's kept the bill alive. People know about it. After years of legislative limbo, 289A is definitely on City Council's radar. In no small part, a lot of what's happened over the past month goes to Andy Cedar. This is off the phone lines. Brian Lehrer's conversation with the mayor on WNYC. He finally got through. And when he expressed concerns about the safety of tour guide, of passengers on double-decker buses and street safety with bus operators dealing with recorded equipment, our mayor was shocked, just shocked. And he wanted something done about that. And then he got a call back from the Department of Transportation Chair, Mr. Gutman. Well, problem is, this bill is a Department of Transportation. It's the Department of Consumer Affairs, but that kept the buzz going. Now, also coming off that, I'm sorry, I have to stop moving, Jim. After months of trying to get a scheduled meeting with Consumer Affairs Chair Diana Ayala, we got one. Not exactly the way we thought we would, but we were planning a rally, and sort of organically, as we discussed, we do to City Hall, we go over to City Council's individual offices, kind of organically evolved that we'll go over to our Diana Ayala's office. And guess who we literally kidnapped on the street? Diana Ayala. That one goes to Deborah. How you picked her out with everybody wearing masks was just about amazing. But we got the meeting on the street, and she's like, yeah, this should pass. Yeah, this is not a big deal. We want this to pass. So that was huge. Following it, and when we got that buzz, we also got an email from Diana Ayala, from Adonis Rodriguez's office, the original sponsor. He sees, he is inclined to, he sees it, he projects, he plans, he hopes that it will pass in this calendar year. This bill has to pass this calendar year. Why? Because we have got over 30 sponsors. Pretty much all of whom we lose with term limits. We'll have about 5 or 6. And we got to start this all over again. So that is why the push is on right now. Following that meeting with Ayala, following the email from Rodriguez on November 23rd, I was invited on Brian Larry's show as a follow-up and a conversation again about tourism in general, tour guides at 289A. The Columbia School of Journalism took an interest in this one, and myself, Lionel Wntga, and James Hoffman were all interviewed. It's the School of Journalism, like, is that a big deal? Yeah, because if the teacher editor approves it, it goes out to every major news organization in the city. It's Columbia University people. It's the movers and shakers of the city. On December 2nd, the offices of Diana Ayala and the Council of New York City Council reached out to, that's me, I'm out of time. Okay, sorry about that. So on December, well, Rank has a privilege. So on December 2nd, Jeff Ryback and I got calls from the council for the New York City Council. They wanted to discuss arguments about rebutting the bill. In the course of discussion with City Council, someone had a statement about negative to the bill. How could they respond to it? We talked about accident scenarios. We talked about street safety. We talked about tour guides' jobs. We talked about the delivery of the tourism experience to our visitors. All good. All really, really good. Now, crunch time. It's the end of the year. Tomorrow is what I believe to be one of the 2 last remaining slated meetings. The vote on 289A has to happen either tomorrow or at the next slated meeting, which has not yet been announced. No agenda has been published for tomorrow's meeting. We don't know if we're on it. I have reached out to Councilmember Ayala's office. She will not confirm nor deny that we are on that agenda. So what do? The same thing you've been doing. Write to council member. Stress the urgency of getting this bill. Stress this bill's value to your jobs. Stress this bill's value to street safety. Do you really want a bus driver operating a sound system with no guide up there supervising the guests? Of course you do it. Keep doing it. We have to do this. This is the loudest voice we have. Yours. Additionally, James Hoffman has planned a rally tomorrow at 11 o'clock, City Hall Park. Any one of you who is available, show up. Let's put a face on this. That's what these rallies are about. These are not protest rallies. These are support rallies. We support what the city council has sitting right in front of them. All we're asking them to do is their job. And we're hoping we're going to get some media. Columbia School of Journalism is actually sending their report. Welcome. And if you have any questions about it, Deborah Blau, Andy Cedar, myself, we're here. We can talk to you. And what else? Keep those emails going. It's hot right now. This is the closest in 10 years we had to getting this done. So don't stop now. Keep at it. And by the way, if you don't know who your council member is, shame on you. And send me an anonymous email through government relations at GANYC.org, and I will let you know who your council member is. I'll give you all the contact information you could want. And I had some folks ask me about what was called the Hope Box, stipend for the tourism workers. We have no way of getting through the Department of Labor. I did send out some postings about you all writing your assembly member at the state level, state senator, state assembly. Hit up your assembly member first. They are the most responsive. We also included a list of every New York City representative that sits on the state committees of tourism in the Senate and the Assembly. Hit them up. Probably running out of time, but for God's sakes, people, make your voices heard. You do it on the streets. You can do it by email. You can do it by phone. Thank you.
So yeah, so in the interest of time, if you do have questions, please feel free to email them to governmentrelations@GANYC.org. And please show up tomorrow. The rally is at 11 in City Hall Park. All right, and I'll wait from upstairs in the observatory. So Mike, you're up next, I believe. Yes, for industry relations.
Thank you. All right, so good evening, everybody, again. I just want to tack one thing on to Patrick's discussion there, the item at the end about the Hopeful Bucks. I do want to thank everybody who actually filled out our survey last month, where we put together numbers comparing income from 2019, last year BC, as my wife calls it, to what year-to-date income has been for tour guides today. And that helped us put together that list of talking points that Patrick shared with you via email and via social media, which is a good jumping off point for any of your discussions with your elected representatives. So I just wanted to thank you. I believe there were 117 people who filled out the survey, and it was not all GANYC members. We opened it up to New York City tour guides of any shape, size, and form and membership level. And I just want to echo or add my thanks to Patrick for all the work you've been doing. It seems like everything comes together at once with all these big issues. So thank you, Patrick. Absolutely. So speaking of committees, industry relations, we had our most recent meeting 1 week ago tonight via Zoom. So I want to thank all who attended, Bob Gelber, our co-chair, Harvey Davidson, Maggie Brown, Mitch Fox, Stuart Ginsburg, Eileen Ward, Jerry Jastrib, and John Semlak. It was a pretty productive meeting. Some of the items we'll discuss here in a second come from that. Others are just for future development. First things first, let's update you on upcoming membership meeting locations. So January 5th, 2022, our first meeting of the new year will be at the downtown headquarters, the same location where our October meeting took place. And as Emma said, it's going to be a little bit of a different format in terms of allowing the membership to really get to know all of the different committees to see who might want to volunteer for what. February 2nd, China Institute. And March 2nd, this was just confirmed this week, Greenwood Cemetery. And a big thanks to John Semlak, who was the one who put that together. And for the other venues, thank you to Bob, thank you to Harvey, and everybody else who's been working hard to secure venues, and this venue as well. Absolutely spectacular. Great to be back here after 6 years, as Matt reminded us. We're also in active talks about future meeting spots, potentially, none of this is official yet, at Cornell Tech on Roosevelt Island, Governor's Island, Plymouth Church in downtown Brooklyn, or Brooklyn Heights, and I've started the conversation about having our return visit to Luna Park in the summer, because I know everybody always enjoyed that so much. We're always looking for new venues, additional venues, so you can always email industryrelations@GANYC.org, with Mr. Bob and myself, and we can start working on that and see where else we can set up meetings. Two other items I wanted to discuss tonight. Number one, GANYC. I had a conversation with Mitch Bach this week, or last week, I should say, and we are starting to plan GANYC for late February or early March. I don't have much more to report on that for you, other than the initial discussions that it's going to be some sort of hybrid event, both in person and online. Probably the job fair element will be more the in-person event, but that is also kind of developing, and we're really going to dive into it after January 1st. We have the template, so it will be a little bit less cumbersome to put together this year, but certainly we're going to get cracking on that as soon as the holidays are over. But we'd love to hear your opinions, whether you attended last year's GANYC virtually or not. If you have ideas for educational components, potential panelists or guest speakers, or companies to participate in our job fair, again, shoot an email to industryrelations@ganyc.org. And then the last thing I wanted to mention is something that, if you paid attention to our budget, is something that we included in the budget for this year. For the first time in several years, GANYC is going to be sending representatives to several national industry trade shows. Specifically in January, 99% I will be at the American Bus Association Conference in Great Black, Texas. And in February, Harvey will be representing us at the International Inbound Travel Association Conference in San Diego. So it's up to you to decide who got the better assignment on that. But in any event, we'll be there representing GANYC, talking to tour operators and bus operators and others about the importance of hiring GANYC guides. But it's going to go deeper than that. And this is the part that's important for everybody to know. By the way, we're also planning to attend the CITA conference in Washington, D.C. at the end of August, but we have plenty of time to worry about that. That's the Student and Youth Travel Association Conference. So as part of our attendance at these shows, we're offering the opportunity to every one of our members and to our industry partners to send us their one-pagers that we will then obviously have on display or have in our bags as we are walking around on the show floor. If you are not familiar with a one-pager, it is a very small 1 or 2 page document, sometimes more for larger companies, that really explains your business to the tourism trade. This is not a marketing piece for the public. This is specifically for the tourism trade. If you did not attend Jennifer Ackerson's PDP last year, the second segment dealt with the development of one-pagers. And I know many of you have also attended the Tourism Ready 1.0 program that was put together by Jen and NYC and company. So what this is basically a chance for you to get in front of tour operators who are looking to fill not necessarily their roster or their lineup for 2022. That window is probably gone already, but for the following year. So this is an investment in long-term development for your tourism businesses. This is not something where we're going to go in January and all of a sudden you're going to get 8 calls by President's Weekend. This is more about the long term as tour operators, particularly overseas tour operators, put together their brochures and their online catalogs for people to start booking tours for later down the line, and they can decide which optionals or which tours they want to include as part of their overall visit to New York City. Now, we are not offering this for free. There is a small fee associated with this. So it is $75, which is not a lot of money, to submit your one-pager. We will set up a Google Drive folder where you can submit your documents, and we will send out an e-blast next week with all of the particulars about this. And you will have to submit your payment at that time as well. $75 is via our PayPal account, and Jeremy set that up this week, so thank you, Jeremy. And so think of it this way: you're spending $75 to potentially have your tour business exposed to dozens, scores, maybe hundreds of tour operators and bus operators. So it is something that you should definitely consider taking advantage of. Why are we charging the money? It helps defray the cost of sending us to these conferences. So it's a win-win for everybody. So you do not have to print your documents. You will send them to us via Google Drive. We will print all of the documents and bring them with us to Texas or to California or to DC in the summer. And at ABA, we'll actually have a table so we'll have many things on display. We'll also have an index so that we'll have quick reference for everybody. If a tour operator comes up and says, hey, we're interested in food tours in New York, we'll just go down the list, say, boom, 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 boom. We have these 6 food tour companies that we can connect you with. And this is only being offered to GANYC members and to industry partners. I know a lot of times some of the initiatives that I've put together, I've wanted to include the larger tour guide community as a whole. This is just a benefit for GANYC members. So I hope some of you, or many of you, will take advantage of this. And like I said, look for an email blast about this next week. We're just kind of finalizing all the details about that. Also in the minutes, so when you guys look at the minutes, I included the link to the YouTube recording from Jen Ackerson's second PDP from last year that really goes into developing a one-pager if you're not as familiar with it as some others might be. So, and also as part of that, we're redeveloping GANYC's one pager. I've been working on that this week as well. Harvey had written one up several years ago, and it's great, but it's still out of date. So we're just trying to update that so we can also promote GANYC in general at these conferences as well. So that's pretty much all I have. So we'll see if we have any questions.
Would it be possible, and if so, what would it take this year or in the future to send multiple representatives of GANYC to a single conference such as ADA?
Okay, question is, will it be possible either this year or in the future to send multiple GANYC representatives to shows like ABA? And the answer is possibly. We're testing it out with just one this time because it is our kind of first foray back in a few years. And we'll kind of get the lay of the land and see A, if it's necessary, and B, if it's financially feasible as well. So we certainly, we love for people to come and represent GANYC as best as possible, but we'll just, this year we're going to go at least one for ABA and IITA, and then we'll see how it goes from there.
The reason I ask is I attended ABA on behalf of NFTTA, and it was an extremely worthwhile conference. You're going to be very pleased, but it would have been nice to have a second person so that one person could always man the table while another walked around.
Right. No, that's a fair point. And I remember you came back from ABA 2 years ago and you said GANYC has to be there. And that was kind of the genesis for all this. So thank you, Matt. And certainly understandable, but we also have to keep an eye on our finances as well. So we're just, we're going to test it out. And certainly if this year we're like, oh my, I'll come back and say, oh my God, we need more people there, we'll figure out a way to send a second person next year if this is successful. Also, more people who send one pagers, that's more income that can help send a second member to these trade shows. Yeah, AJ.
On the topic of one pagers, is there a due date to have one pagers available, or is this open-ended?
So that will be in the email blast that goes out next week. The ABA conference starts January 8th. So I'm imagining this is not official, so we'll finalize it, but the deadline to submit your items will probably be Tuesday night, January 4th, so that we can print them out and compile them in the GANYC office on January 5th and or 6th. But that will be in the e-blast that goes out announcing all of the product, all of the particulars, and yeah, it'll include what kind of formats are acceptable. And the most important thing, once you submit something, it is submitted. We are not editing documents. We are not moving around documents. We might be able to replace a document, but for the most part, once you submit it, that's it. That's what we're going to take with us to the show. So please double and triple check your spelling and things like that. So, okay. Any other questions? Okay, great. Thank you, guys.
Thanks so much. So next we've got Derek to talk to speak about membership. And we'll start wrapping things up a little bit. All right, thank you, Derek.
All right, thank you. So first of all, I do want to announce that we will be having a new membership committee chair, Jonathan Turer. You're off to the side. So thank you, Glenn Paul, as our new membership chair. I also do want to recognize our newest provisional members. We've had a few new provisional members who have joined the GANYC family. So welcome to Eveline Andre, Laura, Campisi Carmen, James Hoffman, and Stephanie Simon. Welcome to GANYC. We do also have two new full members. I do want to recognize Mariam Ford and Manuel Samuel. So welcome to those new full members. And so right now, currently, the current active GANYC membership is 340, which actually brings us within about 10% of our pre-COVID members. So we do have quite a number of members, and that's thanks to members who have continued to renew, as well as new members that have been joining us. And as a reminder for anybody, especially out in Zoom land, if you're not a member yet, but you are a licensed tour guide, you are, of course, welcome to join. And if you join now, you will be able to have your dues cover the rest of this year in addition to 2022. So a little bit of bonus for that. And that also goes for lapsed members. So if you've been a member in the past and are thinking about rejoining as a member, great opportunity to do that. So coming up, as well as throughout the rest of the year as well. And then also just an update about the GANYC Guide name badge. So the one that I'm wearing, a number of other members are wearing them as well. For those that have ordered them most recently, The badge order is with the vendor. Badge vendor, they are having some supply chain issues, so there's a little bit of an extended production time, but I'm hoping to have a further update in the coming weeks, and I'll be communicating for those that have ordered those badges via email about more information as I do get those updates. And then finally, just a final reminder about the benefits page on our website. So if you're not familiar with it, if you haven't been to it recently, it does get updated, GANYC.org/benefits. It's a benefit for members, but it's also a bit of a directory about everything GANYC related. So if you have any questions about how do I pay for the insurance, where's the link for that, that's a great place to go. If you want to know how do I do a count tour, here's a link to that also on that page. So that's a good first stop to go to GANYC.org/benefits for that. And that's it for me. Any questions?
Do we have any provisional or members that have just joined on a full basis here tonight? They would stand and be recognized.
Stand up.
I don't think they're here.
Maybe in Zoom land. Certainly recognize that.
You mentioned we're up to 10% of the pre-COVID membership levels, or 10% of new?
No, so right now we have 340 as of the 2020 AGM. We had just under 380 or so, so about 10% with those numbers, which would have been pre-COVID. So yeah, we've been doing pretty well in terms of not losing too many members.
Oh, I see.
So as Derek is stepping away from the chairmanship of this committee, I just wanted to make an observation, which is that every month that he's been here, he's been announcing new members to GANYC. The numbers are, despite COVID, looking really solid, and Derek's had a lot to do with that. And I thought that as he's stepping aside from his chairmanship, that we should appreciate it. I think that
So one little thing, I know Dave was going to announce the deadline for the newsletter. I'm waiting to see where your peers from. All right, there he is.
My name is Dave, and I'm the editor of our newsletter, Guidelines. And it's not new tonight, but there are any blues or greens here that did not get theirs. I do have a few spare ones tonight. Anyway, as I'm sure many of you want to know, we have a deadline for the next one, and that will be January 5th. So as you probably know, I'll send out a couple announcements anyway, but it is newsletter@GANYC.org. I'll send that anyway. But really, I have to urge you, we already, I believe, have somebody frying up a good one for Ann's tour, but with Mark's tour, we have John Simlak's tour, we have great events going on. So, you know, any sort of write-ups you have about those, send them on in and we'll boil them down and fry them up and get them in the next one. Of course, we'll be looking forward to Matt's review of the awards show, but we'll be leapfrogging that into the spring. But, you know, newsletter, send it on in, January 5th.
Thank you, Dave. All right.
Oh, I just wanted to add that what I think would be a good topic for the newsletter, which I don't have the time to write now, but some of you might be, is what your experience has been as international tourists start to come back, getting back into the tour guiding business, and what your experiences have been like this holiday season, kind of as we transition and begin a recovery. I think that would be a good idea, even for those of you at Zoom, to write for the newsletter. I recommend it.
Great, thank you, Jeff. All right, so Michael Bellinger, will come up and give us an update on WFTGA.
Okay, so yeah, more alphabet soup for everybody. We have all these different associations by letter. WFTGA is World Federation of Tourist Guides Associations. And you are all members of the WFTGA by virtue of your membership in GANYC, which is a member of the NFTGA, the National Federation of Tour Guides Associations, Tourist Guides Associations. And you also are members of World Fed because GANYC maintains its own membership as well. However, in the World Fed, you get one vote per country. The vote is carried by the National Federation. There are a couple other associations in the US that also have maintained separate memberships in World Fed, but they don't get a vote either. The vote goes to NFTJ, and that's what I do as vice president. I am the delegate to the World Fed. And so I just want to give you a little bit of update. So the last time that the World Fed met was in 2019, and they met in Tbilisi. And the conference was supposed to be the next one in 2021 in Serbia, and we all know what happened. This Rona blew into town, and that was the end of anybody traveling anywhere. So they delayed it originally until 2022, but that was recently canceled as well because of the ongoing uncertainties and the different waves of COVID that are going through Europe and the different variants and whatever. So what they did was they had a virtual meeting, because one of the things they have to do now is they have to have an election. They delayed their election by 1 year for their executive board because they thought we were all going to be meeting in Serbia in 2022, which is not going to happen now. And Serbia is not going to be able to continue on as the site for the next conference. It's just too expensive to keep delaying and pushing things back. And so instead, we were asked to vote on the 2024 session. Now, there are about 53, I think, right now, countries that get votes in World Fed at this time. And 30 countries actually voted. We had to vote on limiting, cutting down the list. 7 countries were bidding for 2024. The countries that were bidding were Italy, Japan, Kazakhstan, Malaysia, Russia, and Saudi Arabia, and Turkey. Those were the 7 countries, and they wanted to get it down to 4. And so we got these bid presentations, this discussion, and we had to vote. GANYC did have John Semlak was on that discussion Zoom meeting as well, really early in the morning over Thanksgiving. And the countries that are continuing forward as the final 4 are Italy, Japan, Malaysia, and Turkey. So those are the 4 we're going to be deciding on. Now, another thing, they are going to be having elections. The U.S. has almost always had a seat on the executive board of the World Federation. We send the largest delegation to most of those conferences. There's more people from the U.S. than anywhere else, so the U.S. is always very well represented. They will be coming out with election guidelines soon. I will share them all with you. It'd be great to see somebody, especially from New York, because we all know New Yorkers get it done, and they need some help in getting it done. The same thing with the National Federation. We are going to be having a virtual conference. We have delayed our conference. It was supposed to be 2022. We've pushed it back to 2023. It'll be in Austin, Texas, but we're going to have this, as Emma mentioned, a brief virtual conference. I believe that's on the 27th of January. The day before, there will be the delegates meeting where they'll elect the new executive board. Any empty seats from the executive board will be appointed by the new board. There are going to be empty seats. There's not a full complement of people running. I just wanted to put that out as well. Now, we are trying to get a cross-section across the nation, but once we put that invitation out, if nobody steps forward, we're just going to pull talent from where we got it. So if you want to complain, if you've got a complaint, let's step up and do the work or not. So just be prepared, because I'm going to be knocking on some of y'all doors already to get stuff done. It's really, really important that we maintain these organizations, I think, because they just amplify our voice. And it also gives us more standing locally, that we are connected to larger organizations, and by the same token, we are amplifying the voice of guides around the world. And it's really, really important. As Emma mentioned, the tour operators had nothing to say when she asked, what are you going to do to take care of the tour guides and the tour directors? Because they were talking about how they're taking care of the buses and this and that. And it's like, what about us? And we're always told it's not a good time. Well, it's time to start having these conversations, and we're going to make that happen through our participation in these other organizations as well. So, any questions?
Okay. All right, great. Thank you. So I know we're almost at time, but I do know Kevin Morris had to make an important announcement about the January meeting that was going to be part of the education committee report. So I can't do that.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. It's not that important, but I just want to clarify, because it's been alluded to. We do have all these new members, and as Mike said earlier before, sometimes it's a little bit, for those of us who know maybe been in the organization a little bit longer, we lose sight that some people might be a little bit confused by how the purview of different committees. So the structure of the next meeting in January on the 5th down at the Downtown Alliance. It's going to be a little bit different. We won't have speakers. It's great to have these speakers, but I think just like we saw, having Eileen, for example, be a very new member to the Education Committee, and the dam of all these different, that broke and all these different ideas. This will be an opportunity for you to get better an understanding of the purview of each of the committees. And so we will have this committee convention where people will have different tables, and you can just mill around and you can get to know better the purview from the people who are sitting on those committees. But then also it will be an opportunity for you to come with all of your different ideas. And as we're recovering, it's a new year, you have a new board, we're recovering from COVID. I think that you probably have a good idea of that you want to bring to the committees and think about how you can contribute to the committees. So we want to take this as an opportunity to promote volunteer participation in these different committees, to give you a better understanding of what these committees do, and the committee chairs, you will be hearing from me very soon. I'm sorry I haven't got in touch with you earlier. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kevin. So yes, everyone keep an eye out for that. That'll be a really good way to get the information you need from the different committees. So, ready for the election results? I think we're gonna have Bob and Susan up here.
Okay, so Susan and I have the pleasure of announcing the next board. As most of you know, there was only one contested part of it, and that was for president. Everyone else who was nominated is automatically in. And make sure I have Jeremy's thing, which just disappeared. Oh, I think nobody voted. No,
This is really to bid, build up.
I want to go down.
Yes.
Because we didn't stop.
You just
Started.
Oh, you want to say?
Yeah.
Then you just scroll up like that.
Okay, so members at large.
Susan, hold the microphone up to Bob's mouth.
Kit Garrett, 97 votes. Beth Goff, 102 votes, and Ann McDermott, 103 votes.
At large. Then we have secretaries. Patrick Casey, 99 votes. John Semlek, 105 votes.
Next is treasurer running against himself. With 115 votes, Jeremy Wilson.
I did not vote for me.
Husband.
You're gonna have to move this again. Okay. Now we're set. All right, so vice president, two of them, Jonathan Tura, 91 votes, and Kevin Lawrence, 107 votes. Finally, the last two, our president, Michael Morgenthau, 41 votes, Emma Guest Gonzalez, 74 votes. I know you are our new president. We'd love to call the rest of the board up and wish them the best of luck as I go on vacation.
Not so fast. Thank you, Sue. So, Jeremy. Yeah, we're just missing our members at large. So thank you, everybody. Thank you very much. And I want to thank Mike for everything he has done, from calling me and reminding me to take deep breaths and to not try to do every single thing every single time, and for all your great ideas, for all your work on the board, for being there literally 24/7 for GANYC. And I'm so relieved you're still industry relations are not going anywhere. All right, so a huge applause for Mike, for all of his. Thanks again to Bob and Deborah for being on board, and welcome to the board and to our members at large who are at large on Zoom. For wandering. So, so thank you all. It's really such an honor to serve again and to do it in person. That's really going to be a nicest part. All right, so.
Just one thing, really, Michael, the work you have done for GANYC over the years is absolutely incredible. The work I expect from you in the coming years will be equally incredible, I'm sure. When I was rattling off all of our connections that we made in the month of November, the talking points that Michael so beautifully crafted, supporting guides being included in Pokebugs. I forgot to say it to you today while I was going into Whole Foods to do my shopping. I was called by the New York Times, did an interview on the phone in a very sort of Watergate style setting, I suppose. So I can tell Michael and all of you that those talking points are now in the hands of Pat McGeegan of the New York Times. So I don't have a release date on it yet. When I hear it, you'll hear it. Thank you, Michael. You are the muscle behind what we need to do.
So just, I guess, thank you to everybody for your super kind words. And, you know, I remember 6 years ago, Nina Mende nominated me for this position or for a position on the board. I never thought it would go in all these different directions. And yeah, even though I won't be on board, certainly going to continue with my community responsibilities, things like that, and continue to support this great organization. And I wish good luck to Emma and the rest of the board for the next 2 years. And happy holidays, everybody.
I know Stan and David want to speak, but we are out of time, so we can add those to our next meeting, or we can also email announcements to everyone. Anything else? Or
socialize here as we're getting ready.
We're getting ready to. Oh, so AJ. Second, all right. I brought my gavel, so meeting adjourned. Thank you guys. Happy holidays, everyone. Thanks for coming out.